Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review episode 216. Excuse me. This one reviewing the 216 episode of the series, Sacrifice, and the 62nd chapter of the manga, which we'll get to that. This episode does adapt from chapters 50 and 51, the entirety of it, and from what I can tell from the episode, though the Wiki site doesn't exactly say this, but it all steps a little from chapter 52, like the first page, or I think first couple pages. We pick up left off from last week where we have, Boruto, Naruto, and Kawanaki. Not Boruto, Kawanaki. Boruto, Naruto, and, Sasuke in another dimension. Yep. And they brawl with him for quite some time. And they add a whole bunch of original content for this fight. For instance, this actually was not in the original manga chapters when this came out. We have Naruto getting hit with a bunch of chakra rods. Yes, a whole bunch of, even more, this almost just as much as the first time he fought Jagged. And is it just me, or is that apparently people who made this show completely forgot the fact this is not the first time Naruto's been hit with chakra rods? Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. They have that. They have one point where he getting squished by a couple cubes. Another point was that when Sasuke was being attacked by, of course, Isshin, he also got hit by, during the battle, he got trapped on the rocks, soft blades with Boruto, and they have him get hit with a bunch of chakra rods. Now, for him, he's been hit with a couple before, but not this much. Oh no, there must have been about 20 of them, in his arms, his legs, his belly. I'm like, damn, that's overkill when it comes to chakra rods. And they had him pinned down on the ground, and it seems as though that we have Boruto about to be squished. We have him be squished by this cube, just like what happened with Naruto in the manga, just like what happened with Naruto. But Boruto stops it with a Rasengan, and of course reveals, "Oh yeah, you can't kill me." And that part is true from the manga, which I'm glad they kept that in. Now, what happens next is anime original. Mostly, anyways. We see some blood pouring out of these two cubes, because presumably Naruto gets killed here. And then we have a conversation with Naruto and Kurama in this series. Now, not the first time, but it has been a long time since basically Naruto's had a conversation with him. I think the last time officially he did was actually when he last fought Jagen, and before that was probably during the parent-child arc. Or reveals to him that we need to figure out a way to defeat Isshin, we need a very powerful secret weapon, we need some way to beat him, and Kurama's like, I know a move, and he does this, and he basically with his hands together like this, he did it once before, he actually did this, the last time he did it was actually during the 4th grade Ninja War arc. Yep. But in the case of what happens here, he unleashes a secret mode, which is simply when they show in the anime, which I should point out though, in the manga, we never got a chance to get a look at this damn thing properly. It looks like, though, it looks like very similar to the Chakra Cloak, this particular mode, which I should point out though, I never heard a name for this mode at all. It's called the Byron mode. Yep, it is the Byron mode, which the problem with this particular mode is that I like the fact the anime shows it off really well. Unlike in the manga, we only saw the full thing on the cover of Chapter 51, but let's see a good view of the damn thing. Never got it at all. I don't really know why. That was one of the drawbacks from visually for the manga, which I'm so happy they had to fix this thing. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, before I continue here, we also have some stuff going on in a bunker. Which, yes, this particular scene is from the manga. But I should point out, though, in the manga, they never really identified where Kawanaki, Shikamaru, Dr. Kishin, Armando, and Sasumri. This room that they're in, they never identified where the heck this was. In the anime, they identified as a room that's actually in the old Foundation complex. Yeah, it's a place that's actually known to block the Byakugan, which that's interesting. Which kind of sounds similar to how Lex Luthor in the comic books was basically lines up with lead because lead is one thing the X-Division cannot detect through. I'm like, okay, that's basically where he is. And of course, you have him wake up like he does in the manga. And he tries to go after, help out Naruto, Boruto, and Sasuke with his karma, but it's gone. And a lot of the dialogue in the scene is the same, except they don't have a brief cutaway to the sensory room like they do in the manga. Yeah, for some reason they don't. I don't really know why. Yeah, in the manga they do have a brief cutaway to the sensory room. Here, there's nothing like that here at all. But mostly put, everything is like very much the same when it comes to a particular scene. At least they kind of identify what room it is. And in the case of the manga, which they never did, and well, that's pretty much it. I gotta say, this episode, I like the original the stuff they did. The changes, I like the changes. Like having Naruto and Sasuke be hit by chakra rods and Naruto be nearly squished by 2 cubes. That was actually a really cool visual. And of course, having Naruto and Ishin fighting on top of Cube was a great visual. The fight scenes this episode were excellent. And I think they're probably a lot more handled better here than they were in the original manga chapters. And aside from that, another big bonus for this episode is that we have the Byron mode, which is not identified here, so later, we actually get a proper visual of the damn thing. Because we hint at it in the manga, and then we barely show the whole thing. We show maybe the back of it, but the front of it? No, not really. I mean, that was one thing I did not like with the manga version of this particular mode, is that we barely see it. And you see it use it once because there's a drawback to the damn thing, which I will not go into here. But I'm glad of the fact the anime got great view of the damn thing. I mean, it looks really good. I mean, appearance-wise, it looks like the symbol of the Land of Fire, which, great. Perfectly fine. Got no problem with that. And is there anything I didn't like with this episode? Not really, no. It's an absolute great episode. And I definitely think that the anime is improving what the manga's drawbacks are. Okay, now moving on to the new chapter of the manga, which is chapter 6-2, Run-In. On the cover is Code, who is not in the episode, by the way. He'll probably show up in the next couple episodes. Chapter starts off with... We can't pick up where last chapter left off, where Boruto is detecting that Kwanki has left the village. He knows that the Kwanki in the house is actually a Shadow clone. He looks outside. He asks the guy there... And he apparently didn't notice the fact that Kwanki is missing. Yep. And then, of course, we have Elsa with her brother who's sleeping, which they're communicating via some kind of communication device. Well, actually, it's due to his code ability, which is on her, which is actually him communicating via on her arm, which, okay. And they chat about it, and of course, Boruto informs Naruto that Kwanki's vanished. And I should point out, though, you don't see her face here, but yes, we do have a brief cameo in this chapter by Hinata. Yes, Hinata does briefly earn a cameo. Now, why the heck the manga doesn't show her face, I don't know. And of course, Boruto informs he's run off. Kwanki's like, what? It can't be. He raised a chakra. And he asks him, you check chakra? And then they go check on where he is. And of course, that Kwanki's Shadow clone disappears, and of course, Kwanki notices it. And he goes to confront Code. And starts to fight with him. Of course, they go to the room where Kwanki's in, and he has really disappeared. And he has figured out, though, that it was Shadow clone in the room, and then Naruto contacts Ino to have the Shinra unit look for him. Of course, Naruto wants to handle it, and of course, Shikamaru is surprised at the fact that he's gone missing. How he got a chance to raise the chakra, it was hinted probably in the last chapter he could raise his chakra. It's I think that adults would handle it, and what I think he could do. Armando's even surprised at the fact he actually disappeared. And then we have, looks like Boruto is gone off. Yeah, he's gone off because he puts on his jacket. And for some reason, he still has Sasuke's ninja headband. Despite the fact he still has his own. And he's still wearing Sasuke's headband for some reason. I would have thought, though, Naruto who resaved was a Genin, he would have given back his ninja headband, but no, he's still running around with the Sasuke's. I'm hoping he gets it back. He should give it back. And of course, we continue to fight between Kawanaki and Code. It's a big brawl, and it looks like Kawanaki is going to lose. And of course, he informs it like revenge against Ancient's killer. It's like, kill me, leave Kawanaki out of it. It's like, no. And of course, he beats the crap out of him. And it looks like he's about to lose. And of course, Ida just wondering, basically, it's like, tell about Kwanaki's face. What's that noise? Isn't it morning already? It's still not go back to sleep. We're about to go back to sleep. Yeah, it's like, so you can't kill him per se. Because, well, it has got a thing for him. So, like what's up about a Code thing, the Divine Tree, which something that was hinted in the last arc. And lots of chatting here. Of course, looks like he's about to kill him. And then, of course, well, Kawanaki is kicked out of his hand by Boruto, who's come to save the day. And he says, yeesh, next time you at least tell where you're going so I don't get yelled at. And of course, Kawanaki is shocked to see him. Good chapter. A little too much talking here. Yes. That's one of my minor problems with this chapter. Another one is, why is Boruto still having Sasuke's ninja headband? Yeah, he has his own. Why doesn't he use it? Another problem, now that's clearly in the chapter, don't see her face. He appears briefly for one panel. I'm thinking, really? Naruto's beautiful wife appears for one panel of this chapter. There's no Himawari. Don't know where she is in this chapter. This is clearly Uzumaki home, and yet no Himawari. I mean, is she at school? Don't know. Who the heck knows? Okay, so that's it for particular review. I thought I'd have time to do one more video tonight, but I clearly don't have time to. So I'll save the Comic Corner I was hoping to do next. I'll save it for tomorrow, along with my last 3 anime I gotta do, because as of this recording, I've caught up with all the anime that have come out from this past weekend. Yep, all caught up now. So tomorrow, I'll be covering the 2 anime that came out yesterday and the one that came out today. And hopefully, once to do that, I'll be pretty much caught up with all the anime. And then, of course, on Saturday, of course, I will do the final episode of Season 1 for How Realistic About the Kingdom and the conclusion to the current arc for Case Closed on Saturdays, of course. Okay? See you next video. Bye.